Hello, and welcome back to Minecraft. Today's episode is going to be about how sometimes when you make plans, things don't go accordingly. This week, I changed a little bit of my setup, and as a result, I ended up having some technical difficulties and losing a bunch of footage. I feel like having technical difficulties is kind of a rite of passage when you're doing any kind of video editing. So instead of feeling bad about it, I think I'm just going to try to learn from what I did and do better going forward. This does mean that a lot happened that I don't have footage for. So for the start of this episode, I'm going to be walking you guys through some of the things that I worked on and explaining what I did and why I did it. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to talk about here is that I've been doing fishing every once in a while here and there and slowly working on building up our stock of things. But the main things that I've gotten are 2 name tags, another Nautilus shell, 2 decent bows. I think I'm going to take this flame one and add it to my current bow. And then I also got some more fishing rods. I'm going to add this fishing rod to my current one, and that should max it out from my understanding. So I think that'll be a really good upgrade on that. So that's the update on fishing. I have exactly enough levels to do this. I'll have to wait on the bow. That Nautilus shell puts us at 6, only 2 more to go. And those name tags put us at 5. I think we're going to end up needing all of these soon. The next update that I have for you guys is that I traveled to the Nether and I finally got the last 2 biomes. Here is some of the stuff that I brought back. Some of the extra bits of the warped stuff is somewhere else currently waiting to be used for today's project. Here's some footage that I was able to save from my previous recording of me going to gather these supplies. The next thing that I worked on was down here in our mining area, right across from the tree farm. I made our bee farm. So I've got a double airlocking door to make sure that none of the bees get out. And over here I have a barrel with some supplies that I can use for the bees. You can see I've been collecting a little bit of honeycomb, and I've got some string here because I'm intending on making some candles for today's build. I also have a crafting table over here in case I need it. And inside we have our little bee area. For now, I only have 4 hives, so they're kind of spread out, but my plan is to get more hives set up so that I can have up to 12 of them in here. I think that'd be really good. I have this nice little flowery field. I really love the combination of the flowers together. All of these ground flowers are really nice. And then over in the corners here, I have the 2 tall flowers so that if I ever need extras of these or I need extra dyes, I can come down here and bone meal these, and I know that they're always going to be here. This was a relatively quick build to make, and I'm quite pleased with it. It's simple, but it gets the point across, and it's a really nice place to be in to continue to get my honeycomb. This is the first time in any of my Minecraft worlds that I've actually gotten a bee farm set up, so I'm really excited because this opens up a lot of blocks that I've never gotten to work with. Before we talk about the main plan of today, I want to talk about these little dogs. In my trip to the Nether, I decided that rather than having to trek all the way back from the warped forest, that I would set up a Nether portal in the warped forest and come back to the overworld and then walk all the way home. On my trip back, I managed to find these 2 dogs. And bring them home. So now we have at least 3 of the different colored dogs. That's pretty exciting. We'll get to naming them soon. The main goal of today was meant to be to finish up the Nether Portal Island. I set up the portal itself, but I never got to the island, and I wanted that to change. I wanted it to blend into our world. My idea for this was to take the ruined portal idea that already exists and spawns in the world, but to amplify it and make it my own creation. I've gotten started on the terrain for this already. That was part of the recording that I lost, but I still have a lot of work to do. So let me bring you over there to our island and show you what I've done so far. Like the usual destroyed portals, the land here is made of netherrack, but I've decided to give it kind of a beach line with the soul soil, and then that blends off into the mud, which will continue for the rest of the area here eventually. I've got some soul sand in these little areas because I'm planning on filling them with lava. I haven't done it yet because I don't want to fall in while I'm building. That sounds kind of annoying. But that pool is going to start somewhere up here and continue down there. The terrain may still change and move as I'm building in the future. So far, things here are looking quite simple, and I definitely need to detail everything and make it look a lot more interesting. And that catches you guys up on the footage that I lost. I apologize for having all of that missing, but I hope you guys understand, and hopefully it won't happen in the future. Now let's truly get started with today's episode. I think I'm going to go ahead and start laying out my structure that I want built here, and I think I might go grab some stone so that I can do that and see exactly what it's going to look like before I build it. Okay, so I think I finally have the basic plan of what I want to do to this island. So these pillars here and these pillars here, I'm thinking I'm going to make some mushrooms, some like warped forest looking mushrooms. I think that would be really cool here. And then this will be our path that leads us up onto what is a bridge. And this bridge, as well as this structure here, are going to look like the nether fortress that's in the nether, I think. So they're going to have the nether brick and everything like that. But it's starting to fall apart and wither away and everything like that. Obviously, I didn't make this to scale. It's a lot smaller than it is in the nether. But I think that this size is pretty good for our needs. So over here, I'm also going to add a little bit, I think, of the basalt delta, and that'll be where the lava is coming through and flowing down. I did change a little bit of this here, and I might still change a little bit of this pool down here, so there's even more lava down there. I'm not quite sure yet. And then around these areas, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to make these out of. They might be maybe black stone or something like that if I can get a hold of it. I think that would be really cool. They could also just be a continuation of the basalt deltas, and that would probably tie it in as well. But I do think this is a pretty good estimation of what I want over here. I'm definitely going to want to add a lot of things like soul lanterns and soul campfires and stuff like that for extra light. I don't want just the lava to be providing light. Maybe I'll find a way to sneak in some shroom lights or hidden lights in other places. Maybe lichen will fit in some of these areas. I can sneak it in areas where you won't really see it. But I think that'll be really cool. I also wanted to give an idea of what it would look like from over here on this side as well. Right now, it's kind of hard to distinguish because everything is the same kind of block. But as I start to add everything in, I think it's going to start to look really nice and unique. Since this is such a large project, I think it would be smart if I started with certain parts of it. And I think the best part of this project to start would probably be the mushrooms in the front. I want to see if I can get those to look the way that I'm thinking they should look first, before I continue the rest of the project. The start of the warped biome has been added. Still needs a lot of details, but this is the basis of what I'm going to be doing. Some big mushrooms and some smaller mushrooms, and I'll be adding more detail in as I complete the area. But next, I'm going to focus on building up the Nether Fortress part. Now this is finally starting to look like something. I've got the fortress in and the bridge, and now I need to start adding some of the extra details like this pathway, as well as the little basalt delta areas. And then it'll be time for detailing after that, but let's see if I can get these basic details in first. The basic design of the island is complete. I've got everything in, and now I just need to detail, but I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a tour of the area before I add all those details. So we've got our path that leads up. The bridge is kind of ruined and falling apart, and it leads all the way up to our portal. We've got this really tall structure up here. I'm going to be hanging some stuff from it. We've got our little basalt delta, and there's going to be lava in here. I'm going to add the lava last just so that I don't fall into it at any point, but it'll come down here, and I'm considering extending it a little bit further. We'll see. I know it won't reach the water, otherwise it'll just turn into cobblestone, but I want it to be at least a decent little pool there, so I'll have to adjust it as necessary. And then around here, we've got some black stone that's come up, and little pillars and stuff, and I'm going to detail that as well. So far, I think it's looking pretty cool. Definitely a little plain because it doesn't have its extra details, but I need to gather more stuff so that we can actually make this place really pop. Our brand new island looms in the distance. We've finally got the Nether portal set up and looking nice. Let's head on over. When you make landfall, the pathway will lead you straight up to the Nether portal. And you can go straight through this Nether fortress knowing exactly what to expect when you get in there. I think the roiling lava nearby really sets the mood. Let's do a little bit of a look around so we can see all of the details that I added. So starting with the portal, I went ahead and I added some panes of glass so it looks more like the portal is coming forth in our world and not just a stagnant rectangle. I've added some candles nearby to kind of light the area. I'm using these little candles as part of the fence so that it's not just one straight line. I thought it added a nice little detail. We've got all of the hanging soul lanterns in this area. I think that it kind of looks almost like a mouth in a way, kind of inviting you into the portal. I'm pretty happy about that. We've got our basalt delta area with our lava that slowly pours down underneath the bridge and leads over here to this lava lake. And this lava lake has a bunch of nether wart growing around it. I thought that was a nice touch. Down here in our mushroom forest, I added lots of little details, and this area is the area that I paid a lot of attention to the ground in. We've got little candles to kind of represent little tiny mushrooms that haven't quite fully developed. We've got the crimson and the warped mushrooms as well, and then a couple of varieties of our bigger mushrooms. We've got some soul lanterns hanging down from the larger ones. Around in the area, I didn't place everything as meticulously. I just kind of used bone meal and then brought in these little crimson guys. I thought that would really help bring in a little bit of extra color. The black stone stayed pretty simple on the back since we're not going to be back here a lot, but I did add a couple of these like fence post things as well, just to add a little more depth. Underneath the basalt area, I added some campfires to give it that smoky effect. I think it looks really nice and gives just a little bit of movement here. And then, of course, at this side of our island, I extended this. It's a little bit broken up, but you can jump across. And over here are the little areas that lead down to our skeleton farm. So you can head straight down there to get to the skeleton farm now. And I think that's really cool. I thought that was a really good way to tie this in and to finally kind of cover this area. I did a decent amount of terraforming down here as well, just so that it blended in. Originally, it was just pillars sticking straight up, and it didn't look too great, but I blended it in. And of course, last but not least, I removed this long island that was coming out here. I still need to do quite a bit of terraforming, but I started on it, and I think the area looks a lot better missing this giant chunk here. It didn't really provide anything to the lake, in my opinion. Removing this also gave me some ideas of some things that maybe I could potentially add over on that side of the lake, so I'm pretty excited about that in the future. So from up on top of the bridge here, you can see that without that giant chunk of land here, you can see our ruins a lot better from over here. And I think it looks just genuinely a lot better. This island here kind of felt more like an obstruction, and it was so narrow and thin, I wasn't quite sure what I would be able to put there. I think having more room in our lake is good, and this will allow me to maybe build something underwater in this large area. We do have like a big sunken in area here. Quite a few drowned have been spawning and bothering me while I've been working. I've had a few trident guys try to get the upper hand, but luckily I've been able to defend myself. Maybe over here might be a good place for the conduit potentially as like a permanent home, and then maybe we can make something underwater to go with it. Perhaps something to do with coral if we ever find it. I'm not quite sure. As the sun starts to set, I'd like to show you guys this island at night. I think this is where it looks the best. So you'll notice that there's a lot of firefly particles right when you land on the island. I buried a bunch of them beneath this area and put some along the pathway underground. I just thought that it added a lot of a magical atmosphere to this little forest here. I think the lava illuminates the island quite a bit, but I also added some glow lichen all around just so that the place is relatively spawn proof. I don't think it's completely spawn proof, but it's pretty close, I think. Normally, the Nether is quite the hectic place, but I actually think it's quite calm and relaxing up here. I'm pretty happy with the way that it came out. There's just a lot of soothing glow and soothing light here, and that makes me quite happy. Over here on this side of the bridge is probably the darkest part of the build, but I think that's okay, and it allows you to sit in kind of a quiet area and look around. We can see where our skeleton spawner is, and that's nicely lit as well. It's a little dimmer on this path here. Overall, this was quite an ambitious project for me to tackle, and I'm happy it's done. It was a lot of fun, and it was a really good learning experience. I hope you guys like it too. Before we end off this episode, I would like to look at our notebook that we made a few episodes ago and mark off the things that we have completed. So we completed the honey and honeycomb farm. We completed the nether portal today. And the skeleton spawner. We got that dealt with today as well. So we're running out of things to do here, but that's okay. I'm thinking next episode, since we've been doing a lot of building between the ruins over there and then the nether portal over here, I'm thinking maybe it's time to go out on an explore, because it's been a few episodes since we've done that. I hope you'll join me for that next time. If you made it to the end of this episode, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Bye!